Hi, everyone. Today we're going to work on intercepts and slope, which is pretty important, big part of the test. My name is Robyn MacKillop. I run Get That GED. And my sole goal in life, I think, is to help you guys get through this part of your journey as quickly as you can, so you can go do the things you want to do. So let's get going on this because, again, 55% of the math test is algebra. You'll have quite a number of graphing problems. So the good thing about graphing, it's pretty well contained. Once you know how to get to one spot, you can get to all the spots. So let's take a look. I'm going to switch my camera. All right. So these are some lovely equations. Let me clear that. It looks blurry. A little bit bigger than what we were dealing with last week, but that's okay. They want us to find the X and Y intercepts. Well, how do you do that when you've got an equation like this and no other information? It's not super obvious, is it? So you're going to do two things to get your answers. Let me write down number one. We're going to start with 6x plus 2y equals 18. And you are going to find the X and Y intercepts. So in this equation, you're going to have to isolate one of the variables. You're going to have to make it 0. Your answers are going to end up looking like this. You're going to find two sets of ordered pair. And remember, ordered pair are always X, Y. So we're going to deal with this equation twice. The first time, we're going to make X 0. So if X equals 0, then this is gone, isn't it? 6 times 0 is nothing. So our equation is now 2y equals 18. And then we're back to kind of a familiar equation. We're going to divide out that 2 on both sides. Y equals 9. That means when X is 0, Y is 9. So you did the first part. Now, forget everything you just did. Go back to the original equation. This time, we're going to zero out Y. What is that? It's a dog hair or something gross. We're going to zero out Y. So 2 times 0 is nothing. Our new equation is 6x equals 18. So 6x equals 18. Again, it looks familiar. We'll divide out the 6 on both sides. And x equals 3. So we put our 3 right here. And we've come up with two ordered pair. So this entire page, that is what you're doing. For each equation, you're going to start by zeroing out the x, which makes it disappear. And then you're going to solve that equation that's left. Then after you've got your first set of ordered pair where x is 0, like that, you're going to come back and you're going to zero out y. And then you're going to solve that equation. And that's going to get you your y. So you'll have two sets of ordered pair for every one of these. And they'll both have 0, and then what you find for y, and then what you find for x and 0. All right, now they do say graph them. And that's perfectly okay. We can do that. Hold on, I'm gonna grab my graph. When you've got ordered pair, it's really easy to put your coordinates on. We have got 0, 9, and 3, 0. So 0, 9 would be x is 0. Then you go up to 9 on y. And our second ordered pair was 3, 0. So you're going to go to 3 on X and nowhere on Y because Y is 0. So you're going to right here. And you just connect the dots and you've got your line. You just graph this equation. That's what it looks like in graph form. Interesting, yes? And not horrible. This is the worst part, is trying to draw a straight line. There we go. Almost. Looks all right. So this line is this equation. Nicely done. Let's do a couple more. Let's do, I'm going to do number 6. It looks really innocuous, right? X plus Y equals 5. It is. It's fine. X plus Y equals 5. And again, for all of these, you're going to come up with 2 ordered pair. And that means you're going to zero out X, solve for Y, then you're going to zero out Y, solve for X. So our answers, and this sort of reminds you what you're doing. All right, that means we're going to start with X is 0. That is nothing, Y equals 5. We didn't have to write on this one. This is great. Then we're going to come back to the equation, zero out Y, X is 5. Look at that. We didn't even have to write anything. I'm going to grab my graph. And we've got 0, 5, and 5, 0. So X is 0 up to 5 on Y. And then the second one, X is 5. And you don't go up or down because you're right on 0. And there's your second line. What do you think? Is this coming together? Is it making sense? Hopefully.
Do a couple more.
Oh, absolutely. And if you see something, if you see an equation like this, where you've got 2 variables on one side of the equation and a number, there's nothing you can do to solve that. Because you cannot combine an X and a Y. There's no number to take away from or add to. There's no variable over here. So what you have to do is you have to get rid of one. So you zero out the first one, solve the equation, come back to it, zero out the second one, solve the equation. So it's not bad. And if you can recognize the style of equation, you'll know what to do no matter what the instructions say.
Can we do number 2?
Yes. We will totally do number 2. So that is 3x plus 4y equals 12. And again, we're going to end up with 2 sets of ordered pair. Perfect. So we're going to start with X is 0, which means 3 times 0 is nothing. Our new equation is 4y equals 12. And it looks a little more familiar, right? We're going to divide out that 4, which gives us y equals 3. So our y is 3. Then we're going to come back to the original equation and zero out y. So our new equation is 3x equals 12. Again, we can handle this one. Divide out those 3's. 12 divided by 3 is 4, x equals 4. So not too bad. I mean, if they had just thrown this at me, even with instructions, I may not have known what to do. Because I'd be, go ahead.
So, I mean, like, how do we automatically know that there's a 0? Like, what are we zeroing out again?
So you're going to start by zeroing out the x first. The thing
Is it always the first number that we zero out?
Yeah, because this is how your answer looks.
Okay.
So x, y, x, y. And the reason you'll know this is because if you can't do anything to solve this. You cannot combine these two. Can't get rid of a number because you don't have another number over here to deal with the 6, or you don't have variables over here to deal with the x and y. So this is not a solvable equation as it sits. And that'll be your hint to say, you know what? Since I can't combine these, I have to get rid of one. And the way to get rid of one is to zero it out, solve for the other, then come back, zero out the y, solve for x. So it's not bad. And the more you do things like this, you'll realize if you get a problem like this one, any of these, it'll take you just a second to realize there's nothing you can do with it this way. Other than get rid of one, solve for the other, get rid of the other, solve for the first. Crazy.
Okay, so first you'll solve for the y by zeroing out the 2.
Exactly.
Okay, and then going back, you'll zero out the 3 to get the answer to the x.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. It seems like there's an awful lot to graphing, but once you get into it, it's like, well, I'm kind of limited in what I can do. I can really only do one thing. And it's certainly not something, if someone just threw an equation like this at you, your first thought wouldn't be to get rid of one of them. You know, you'd be thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to get this to work? But that's
what about number 7?
Yeah, let's do number 7. All right, we've got x minus 3y equals 9. And again, we're going to start by zeroing out x. Then we'll come back and zero out y. So if we make x 0, it goes away. And our equation is negative 3y equals 9. So then we're going to divide out that negative 3 on both sides. And what does that get us?
A negative 3.
Perfect. So here, y is negative 3. Now we ignore what we did and we come back up to the y. We're going to zero that out because negative 3 times 0 is nothing. So this is now gone. X equals 9. We don't even have to do any footwork on that one. Nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. And again, when you do these, only do 1 or 2 at a time and do them, you know, do 1 or 2 every day, every other day. That's how you're going to begin to recognize these different styles of equations. If you do the whole page, you'll know how to do it that day. You may forget how to do it next week. But if you do 1 or 2 regularly and consistently, it's going to go into long-term memory. You get to the test, they give you one of these, no matter what their instructions say, and you're going to be like, holy crap, I got to get rid of X first because I can't do anything with this problem. And that'll give you 2 sets of ordered pair. And then you can graph from those because you just plot them onto your graph. What was that? 0, negative 3, 9, 0. So if X is 0, Y is -3, and X was 9, Y was 0. So there's your line. You have graphed that equation. Crazy. All right.
Can we work on number 9, please?
Yeah, let's do number 9. Well, that's a nice big one, isn't it? All right, so we've got -2x plus 5y equals 10. And our answers are going to be 2 sets of ordered pair. All right, so we're going to zero out x first. As soon as that's 0, we've got 5y equals 10. And if we divide both sides by 5, what are we going to get? Y equals 10
2.
divided by 5. Perfect. Then we're going to come back and we're going to zero out the y, which makes that disappear. Now we've got 2x equals 10. We're going to divide out that -2. And what is
-5?
perfect? And that's it. And now you can graph them. You can plot them on the graph. And that line will be this equation. Interesting. Who knew, right?
I know, right?
It seems so huge when you're looking at all of this. And I sent you this entire thing, because this chapter, because it's got the instructions, but you're looking at all these equations and it's just overwhelming. But if you get in and break it down, you're like, wait a minute, that's not bad. That one, yeah, I can totally do this. So it's pretty cool. And for those of you who are brave, there's always reviews in the bottom. Those look like fun, don't they? The percents.
Oh,
Yeah, the algebra book review. All right, I'm going to teach you the slope formula. This is what you use if you've got 2 set of ordered pair. So I'm going to write this down. It is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we won't do slope intercept form today, but that's the most common one. This is what you'd use if you only had 2 sets of ordered pair. And I'll show you how it works. I will say, as we get going, you never have to use this. You can always use slope intercept form for everything. Isn't that amazing? So if you don't want to have to keep track of a bunch of formulas, then what I'll do, and I'll show you that next week. All right, so here we've got a page of ordered pair. Perfect. Let's look at number 4. We've got 4 and 1 and 7 and 2. And we're going to find the slope of those 2 points. We could easily draw the line, right? Since we have the 2 points, 4, 1 and 7, 2, 4 on X, 1 on Y, 7 on X, 2 on Y. So there's our line. We can double check. Let's see. Straight edge. That is not a straight edge. That's going to be a crooked line. Oh, that's totally going to be a crooked line. So you're going to get a bundle of stuff with this. Some of it may not make sense until next week. Here, let me get this up. You need to see that. All right, so those are the 2 points. I haven't even done anything yet. I just took the 2 points and I made a line. We need to find the slope of the line. This formula will help us to do that. And we can also count it. So let's do the formula first, and then I'll count it. So remember, every ordered pair is xy, xy. When they give you two of them, the first set is x1, y1. The second set is x2, y2. Now this makes a little more sense, doesn't it? We're just going to plug these into this formula. So y2 is 2 minus y1 is 1 over x2 is 7 minus x1 is 4. You see that? Not bad.
Wait a minute. Got lost somewhere.
Not a problem. So they gave us these two ordered pair,
Mm-hmm.
and they want us to find the slope using the slope formula. So every ordered pair is x first, y second. When you have two sets, you just say x1, y1, x2, y2. If you had a third, you could say x3, y3, just to keep everything straight. And then once you've labeled these, you're going to plug these into the formula. So find y2, which is 2, put it in the right place, minus, because that's part of the formula, y1, come down here, y1. So that's 2 minus 1 over x2. We find x2, that's going to be 7 minus as part of the formula, minus x1 is 4. So we have taken those two ordered pair that they gave us and we plugged them in. That's all we did. We plugged them into the formula. And this is what we ended up with, and we'll keep going. 2 minus 1 is 1. 7 minus 4 is 3. This is our slope. I'm sure this makes everybody happy because it looks like a fraction, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Anytime you've got a fraction for a slope, it's good. I'm going to show you what this means. The 1 is the rise. And you may have heard rise over run. And what that means is rise goes up and down, like the y-axis. Dun, dun, dun. And run goes sideways, like the x-axis, right? So rise up and down, run across. They said we've got 1/3 for our slope. Let's double check this line. These are the two coordinates from that same problem. We're going to start at the first coordinate and we're going to count the boxes up and down between it and the second coordinate. How many boxes in between? Up and down.
1.
1. I'm going to write that right here. How many boxes sideways between the two dots?
3.
There's your slope. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Let me bring this so you can see both. It's craziness. It all kind of goes together, doesn't it? Let's see if I can get this all on. So we took the two ordered pair that they gave us, we plugged them into this formula, which is the slope form, filled it in, and we got a slope of 1/3. Then, just to check myself, I put these two ordered pair, I plotted them on the graph. These are them. I drew my line, not very well. And then I counted the boxes up and down, that's the rise, and the boxes sideways between the two dots. Sideways is run. It was 1 up and down, 3 sideways. It's the exact same slope. So there are two ways you can do this when you are given two sets of ordered pair. You can either be formal and plug it into the formula, or you can just take your graph, plot it, and count it, and then you can check your work. What do you think of that?
Not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that you have options. So you find what works for you and you do it your way, no matter what the instructions tell you. You need to be comfortable with what you're doing. You don't need to do it the way everybody else does it, if that makes sense. You have to do it in the language that your brain understands, because math is a language and we all speak different languages when it comes to math. What's unfortunate is when you're in grade school, you learn it one way. You get to middle school, it's the same way. If you make it to high school, you're going to be lost. You're going to be like, okay, you haven't spoken my language in years. I don't know what you people are doing. All right, the formula, and this will be on your formula sheet. This is not something you need to memorize. Does everybody have a formula sheet for GED?
No.
I will send that with the recording. And if you can print it out, even laminate it, you will get that same exact sheet during the math test. So get really familiar with it. It's got all the geometry formulas, all the algebra formulas, a couple other helpful things. And so don't memorize these. You don't have to take up the brain space. You'll end up doing it. You'll end up memorizing if you do them a lot. But don't feel like you have to have this memorized. You will have notes. All right, our two sets of ordered pair. Let's do number 5. My throat is really scratchy. It's driving me crazy. Okay, maybe that'll help. Not really. So we've got -2, 1. They will always give you two sets of ordered pair if they want you to use this formula. The second set is -3, 3. And again, it's always XY, XY. This one's going to be X1, Y1. This one, X2, Y2. And then we're just going to plug these numbers into the, so Y2 is +3 minus just part of the formula. Y1 is 1 over X2 is -3 minus X1 is -2. So we're done with the formula because we filled it in. Now we need to just calculate the arithmetic. 3 minus 1 is 2. What do I do with that double negative?
It turns into a positive.
Yes, it does. That's a big plus sign. So we've got -3 plus 2 is -1. And I want to let you know, when you get a slope, these are all basically the same thing. They're all going to give you a negative line. Or, so those are all the same. Don't let that negative sign throw you. These are all going to be negative lines. They're all going to go that direction. So there's your slope. What do you think of that? Let's check our work.
Or just -2 without the,
Which one?
-2/1, just -2 at the end. Without the denominator.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oftentimes, oh, this is good. That was a good segue. Thank you. Oftentimes, you'll get a plain old number for a slope after you do this. Let's say you get the number 3. It's not in fraction form. It's still, what you have found is the rise. You have found the number up and down. when this happens, the run is always 1. Remember way back when we were doing fractions, if you had a whole number and you needed to turn it into a fraction,
Yeah.
number just goes over 1. That's all you're doing. So this one could have shown up without the 1 underneath. And it's still the rise, and then the run would be 1. So that's a good job. And the nice thing about it, it seems like a lot of detail work, but it all comes down to the same thing. It's that merry-go-round idea with graphing. It doesn't matter where you start, you can get to any place in graphing. Because it'll all come back to the same spot, which is nice because it means they can't throw you too many pop flies or whatever. I'm not good at baseball analogies. I shouldn't do them. All right, let's go ahead and graph this. These are the 2 original ordered pair. That was -2 and 1. So -2 on X, 1 on Y. And the second one was -3 on X and 3 on Y. And what did I say about the line? Did I say it was going to point that direction? Boom. Welcome to a negative line. This one up here, this is a positive line. It points to the right. And this one is negative. It points to the left. That could be a question. They'll give you a line and they'll say, is that a positive or a negative line? If it points left, negative. If it points right, positive. So let's check our slope on this. These are our 2 ordered pair. What did I do with my sheet? There it is. So we used our 2 original ordered pair, and our slope was 2 over -1. So let's take a look. So this is what we came up with from the formula. How many spaces, how many boxes between the 2 dots up and down?
Which one?
This one here, between these 2 dots, how many boxes?
1. 2.
Perfect. Oh, look at that. It matches. Now, how many boxes sideways between the 2 dots?
Let's see. 1.
Perfect. And this is a negative line. So it's -1. Nice. It matches. And this will help you get comfortable with the graph itself, is either doing this on the graph first and then checking your work through the formula, or doing the formula first and then putting your coordinates in, making the line, and then counting your slope. And it should always match up. So you've got 2 different ways to find your slope from 2 ordered pair. That's pretty cool. What do you think? Let's do another one of these. I don't know if you guys are excited about this or not.
Can we try number 14?
Absolutely. Let's do it. So we've got the formula, and again, you don't have to memorize this. It'll be on your formula sheet, which I will send you today. You all should have that. And seriously, if you can print it out, even if you have to go to FedEx or something to print it out, If you go there, have them laminate it too, because you'll use it all the time. And you'll have it during the test. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this is slope formula, not slope intercept formula, but slope formula. Oh my goodness, I write slow. And the top is the rise. The bottom is the run, which means the top number goes up and down. It's the number of spaces in between the two dots. And the run is the number of spaces sideways between the two dots. Same as y over x. That's handy. If you've got that, this will help. Slope formula, when you've got two sets of ordered pair. All right, so we've got 8 and 1 for number 14 and 4, -4. XY, this is going to be x1, y1. This is x2, y2. And then we're going to fill this in. Y2 is -4. Minus, that's just part of the formula. Y1 is 1 over x2 is +4 minus x1 is 8. And now you do the arithmetic. What is -4 minus 1?
-3.
Go up
5.
1.
Oh, -4.
When both numbers are negative, the answer will be negative, and then you just add the two numbers together. And
Oh,
4 minus 8, what's that going to be?
4.
Yep,
Negative.
-4. All right. Then we need our graph. That's our slope. -5 over -4. I do believe this will be a positive line because they're both negative. And I'm going to, on my graph, I'm going to take the original two ordered pair and put the coordinates on. So 8, if x is 8 and y is 1, the first one's right here. Oh, the 8 and 1. Yeah, it was. And the second one is 4, -4. So 4 on x down to -4 on y. What direction is that line facing?
Up.
Yep, it's going to the right. It's a positive line. And now let's count the spaces in between the boxes. Let me draw the line. I don't know if that line is helpful or not. And when you do draw lines, if you get to, you won't have to on the test because they don't have the mechanism for it. But if you're drawing them on paper, always draw them so they cross the Y line. And this will make sense next Monday when we do Y-intercept. The Y-intercept is where that line crosses Y. So anytime you've got two, and I didn't do it on these other ones, what I do with my sheet, but I should have taken all of these over the Y line. Like this one, its Y-intercept is going to be 0. This one's going to be 1. Oh, that one's good, -1. That one goes through 9. So anytime you've got a short line, make sure it crosses Y. Just keep going. Lines are infinite. They go forever. So this is just a piece of a infinite line. And again, if that didn't make sense, don't worry, because it'll make sense next week. All right, so we are looking at the slope. What did we find for slope on this one? -5 over -4. It's a positive line because they're both negative. Bad guy leaves town. It's good for the town. Let's count the spaces up and down between the two dots. So this dot, let's line it up. How many boxes between those two dots up and down?
5,
Perfect. How many dots sideways between them?
4,
Or how many squares? Sorry. Perfect. Look at that. 5/4. Positive 5/4 is the same as negative 5/-4. Both positive. They both end up being positive. What do you think?
Need more work, but it's coming.
Excellent. So what I would do, or what I would suggest you do is, let me grab my other piece of paper. Whoops, that's not it. I love this book. This is the best math book. I wish it was cheaper. I'd get it for everybody. Okay, on page 67, these are the equations where you have to zero out one and find the other, then come back to the original equation, zero out the other to find the x. So first zero out x, find y, then zero out y and find x. And that'll give you two sets of ordered pair. First one will have 0 for x, second one will have 0 for y. And these, just do one or two consistently until you're comfortable with this style of equation. You cannot solve it unless you get rid of one of the variables. They do not give you enough information to solve. And then on these, use your slope form, which is your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and try a couple of these out. Go ahead and graph them and see if you can get the same slope. All you're doing with these and the formula is finding the slope. And it's always a good idea to graph the lines and then double check. Count the boxes up and down between the two dots. Count the boxes across. That's up and down, rise, run, and see if they match. Cool, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to convince you at some point.
It's coming along. It's coming along. Once you get it, it get exciting.
Yeah.
It just hasn't got exciting yet.
And just really, it's a matter of doing a couple consistently. And all of a sudden, it moves into long term and your brain doesn't have to think about it. And that's what you want for the test, because there will be enough on there for you to think about that. If you can do graphing without thinking about it, you're probably going to get 5 or 6 graphing problems. That's a big point. All right, well, that's it for today. I will make sure I send you the GED formula sheet because you'll be able to use that during the test. And again, if you can, get it printed and laminated. Have somebody take it to FedEx, or you can, I think you can to FedEx, get someone to buy it for you, because it'll be a game changer. And the more familiar you are with that page, you'll know right where to go to find things, and it keeps you from having to memorize everything. And then
the sign rules on there,
they are not.
okay.
It's got area, perimeter, circumference, surface area, volume, all of those formulas, which you'll need. Then it's got the 3 graphing formulas. And we did one today. We did just the slope, and we'll do slope intercept on Monday. It's got quadratic equations, the formula for those.
Mhm.
Pythagorean theorem is on there for triangles. And then I think it's got distance and interest, which is helpful because I always have a brain freeze if I'm being tested on those.
Mhm.
Okay, I know how to do these, but I can't remember the order. It's really nice. It's just one piece that you don't have to commit to memory. And I
Okay.
don't know that that's the same on the high set. I think you might have to memorize some geometry if you're taking the high set.
Okay.
Now, does the formula sheet changes for any type of the years for the GED? Or
It
is it
has
all the same?
changed since 2014. So
I didn't hear you. You said it did change?
since 2014.
Okay.
It's been exactly the same for quite a while now. Wow, that's 9 years. How did that happen?
They try to simplify it for all of us.
So don't despair with these. You'll get them. And when you get them, you'll be able to ace them on the test.
Okay.
And so, yeah, these are the big rocks. You want these because it's a really good way to gather points. And then if you get a problem that you absolutely hate, you don't have to worry about it. You can just say, you know what, I'm going to guess and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it and move on. I'm not going to stress about it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, some of you are looking for social studies, and I think we'll do maps tomorrow. How does that sound?
Sound
Did
all right?
you already send the work for the social studies?
No, I'll send it first thing in the morning,
Okay.
and I'll try to get you the recording for math by this evening. I have to
Okay,
teach
thank you.
college, so I need to get it out before I go. So all right,
No.
keep doing the work. Just do a couple, keep it consistent. Don't overwhelm yourself. If you have questions, just let me know.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.